record. We're going to do that. And welcome everybody again.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Moneytree Market Property Show. Here every Thursday at 12:30 for an hour of in-depth, up-to-date information and hopefully a little bit of entertainment as well.
Probably got breaking news of the world.
We could have a news flash.
Oh my goodness!
Who knows? I keep an eye on my notifications and see what pops up.
But all we can do is give you what we know. That's all we can do.
As of now.
As in right now, this very second, because it might all change in an hour. But hey, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, but thank you very much for spending your time with us this lunchtime. We have some new arrivals. So let's say hello to Nigel, Caroline, and Mark Tipper was here a minute ago. I don't know if he's gone, but hello.
No, Mark.
Hello,
he'll be on
Mark.
the road and he'll be losing signal and he'll log back in, but he'll do his best. He's very loyal to us.
So, beautiful sunshine out there. Spring is definitely in the air. The old nights are still a bit chilly. I don't know about you, getting out there, getting in the sunshine. Are you getting any of the benefits of that additional vitamin D?
Well, yes, I cut the grass, which is a 5-mile walk, pushing the mower around, and I caught a bit of sun, that's for sure. And trouble is, when I go to golf on a Friday so early, I've got about 4 layers on when I set off and one when I finish the match. So it's what to wear, you know.
What to wear indeed.
One of life's big conundrums, isn't it?
What to wear. Now, I'm going to ask you what's new in your world, but I don't know, in your world, is there anything? Have you been doing anything that's new?
Well, I'm happy to say I've had, and I hope I'm not tempting fate here, I've had a quiet week. After the last 3 or 4 weeks, to have a quiet week is an absolute pleasure, but only quiet from a problem point of view. We've been doing lots of viewings, been out this week doing some viewings, got 2 lined up for tomorrow as well. Crunching the numbers, putting the offers in, following up on offers I've put in previously, because the magic is definitely in the follow-up. And yeah, I think the belief, you've got to believe that you're going to get those offers accepted. You've got to go in with that mindset that they will come good. Maybe not first no. The first no is never the outcome. It's just got to keep being persistent. What about you?
What's new? I had a message from one of my favourite people at the moment, my favourite Swede. That was new. Many of you may know, I've got a little secret crush on David J.P. Phillips. And I sat one of his boot camps and
personally messaged you. Yes, he did.
So he put his WhatsApp number out there to get in contact if we've got any questions about a course that he's running. And I thought I'm just going to message him anyway because he's awesome. And I thought, just see if he responds. And he did. He sent me my own personal WhatsApp message. So yeah, I was super pleased about that. It was very exciting. So it just shows you just got to put yourself out there and you don't know who's going to get in contact with you. Actually, saying that, Donna, one of our mentees, oh my goodness, she may be interviewing Nigel Farage.
But the other way around, I think he's going to interview her about her strategy because she wants to.
Don't steal her limelight. She's going to interview him.
All right then. But basically, the long and the short of it is she's going to get a big bit of exposure about her business and her strategy within the world of property. So she's done phenomenally well there.
Yeah, she really has. But so maybe I could wangle a little meet and greet at AdCon with David J.P. Phillips. Be super happy with that.
Well, you've gone back to that.
Yeah, I know. It's all about me. Me.
Well, no comment.
So today's show, we are going to have some mortgage news. We're going to talk about Trump because I think we need to. And then we'll have, we've got some questions from people. Actually, we've had some really good things that have been highlighted this week with conversations that we've had within our group. So we'll address some of those questions and some fears that we know that new property investors really have, which stops people from moving forward, and the procrastination sets in as well. So we'll have some questions. I think I'm going to hand over to you. for what's hot in the old property market news or mortgage news
Well, I
this
did a bit
week.
of prep. I've got quite a lot of notes here, but the biggest word on the page is unpredictable. Because, like I said, I did a lot of sort of prep last night for this, and basically need to put a line through it now. But the word yesterday was that there's always winners and losers in any sort of crisis or big change in the world of what's going on in the world. But the talk yesterday was that the Bank of England are considering 3 interest rate cuts quite close together in a very, very near future. It's all speculation, but it's come from a lot of sources, so you'd think there's some truth behind it. But that was yesterday. Obviously, if the interest rates do get cut, the base rates get cut, then that affects the mortgage rates, and that will kickstart the property world, which has reports are very light at the moment. What's happened since in the world of property since the stamp duty hike. But the first week figures say that it's absolutely stalled. And unfortunately, there's over 74,000 people who had an offer accepted prior to the 1st of April, hoping to get their deals across the line by April, didn't manage it. So there's over 74,000 that didn't benefit from the previous stamp duty rates. But that will probably reflect in a downturn in completions, because I reckon many of them will actually pull out, or failing that, they'll renegotiate on their purchase price to try and cover the hike in the stamp duty. So really, we're going to have to wait and see what the figures are further down the line to see if it has really had a big impact, and it has gone very flat. But should these interest rates cuts happen, that should spark some very good offers from the lenders, from the mortgage companies, and we hopefully can get out there and buy more and more deals with better cash flow.
Just on the subject of mortgages, something that we've been doing over probably the last 12 months, really, because it's property forever changing. You're always having to change what you do. It's never a cookie cutter. With like the mortgage products, you're always having to really take a look to see what is the best product, and it's not, well, now, especially now, it's not the interest rate which makes it the best product, because there's lots of admin fees, setup fees, all these extra fees that they throw in the mix. So the interest rate isn't just the thing to look at, and we found that 2-year products just aren't really worth doing either, because they shove on such high fees to get you into that 2-year product. So you have to look at the whole mortgage, all the fees, and really just do the calculation over that period of time to make sure that the deal is viable. We found that 5-year products are much more viable than 2.
Yeah, I mean, some of these finance companies are going at 9% setup fee now, which, well, you've got to basically work it out across the whole period of the term and see which is the best product for you. And to, actually get the best deal, it's not all about the interest rate, it's about the overall cost throughout the whole term, which really counts.
Yeah. So the actual interest rate itself is not really the thing just to look at, because the setup fees have gone up immensely, haven't they? They have changed a lot recently.
Well, the reason they're doing that is because obviously the swap rates are not at a great level. The base rate's not a great level for mortgage products, so they have to try and on paper, visually make the product look more attractive by doing a slightly lower rate, but then they claw it back through your setup costs.
Yeah.
So, it looks, oh, this is a great product. Look, it's down at 4.9%. Well, actually, when you work it out with all the setup fees, etc., you're paying a lot more overall throughout that term than you are on a product with 5.2%. So you've really got to look at the whole term, the whole cost throughout that term.
And also think about if you've still got work to do on the property and you're just, if maybe you've got tenants, maybe you've bought a tenanted property, let's do this as an example, and you're wanting to get those tenants out, and your strategy is to go through the court system. It's going to take you probably about 18 months before you can actually get them out, and you're not going to be able to do that refurb until obviously the property is empty. So that 2-year product might be the strategy that you're using, that you're going to wait for 2 years and then do the refurb so that you can get your uplift in 2 years time. So you do need to think about that sort of thing, because there's high costs in getting out of a mortgage early. So you need to just take everything into consideration, but don't just look at the interest rate. Look at your cash flow. Look at your timeline. It might be stepping stones that you're going to keep it for that period of time, that 24 months, and then do the refurb, and then get the uplift and get all your money out then. So do take into consideration what your actual plan is. That's why we always say to start with the exit in mind, isn't it? Always have that timeline.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something that we focus on a lot more than we used to, is how will our decisions we make right now affect us in the term of the product. So, will it, you can't predict the future, but you can sort of give it a close look and say, well, in 5 years' time or 3 years' time, if we decide that we want to sell it, what is the early redemption fees, etc. So the decision now is very much based on what we plan to do over the next 5 years or the term of that product. So which we never used to do. It's all about, right, what's best for us right now. But now we sort of really plan ahead and say, right, what's best now throughout the duration of the product.
We actually just moved one of ours onto a 12-month product because we're planning to sell.
Yeah, that was quite interesting and quite cheap.
So that gives us flexibility. We've got a tenant in there at the moment. We've given notice, so waiting for them to leave. Need to do a little bit of work on the property, and then we'll put it up for sale whilst we're doing the work. So 12 months timeline, and we'll hopefully have it sold.
And the overall cost of that 12-month product was significantly cheaper than going on to the inflated rate, because we come to the end of our term, which we could have just stuck with them and seen it through with them while we sort of the notice periods were served by the tenant, and then we done it up ready for sale. So the 12-month product was significantly cheaper than sticking with what we got and paying the higher rate.
Yeah. But now I feel like I've just given all these people that want to buy property, do them up, and not the go ahead to get a mortgage. Don't do that.
Oh no, whatever you do, don't
get
a buy to let mortgage if you're paying to flip it. Don't do that.
They won't like that. They won't like that. You'll get blacklisted.
You'll get blacklisted and they won't lend again. You've got to seek advice and make sure you get the right product for your strategy.
I feel like I've just opened the floodgates now for 12-month mortgages.
Sorry.
Yeah, if you're doing a flip, please don't do that. There are alternative methods to buying property for short-term lending, but don't do a mortgage on them. Some other news which I thought was really exciting. Universal Studios, big announcement. Bedford, yeah. Excited about that.
If anyone invests up that area, you may be looking to do some bar refurbished as serviced accommodation, I'd suggest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was how many thousands?
28,000 jobs it's going to create.
Does that mean they're not going to do the one in Kent? There was plans for the one in Kent.
Apparently it's Bedford.
Don't know. Bedford's the chosen destination at the moment.
Yeah, so I thought that was super interesting. So obviously, if you've got 28,000 people, employment, that means that you're going to need somewhere to live.
They're not all going to be locals.
No, so people are going to come into the area for work. The short-term housing requirements as well, while we've got contractors on site. So lots of opportunity there, I feel. So if you're looking maybe to invest around the area, definitely have that one in your sights and see what's going to go on. We've got a few people that we know actually Bedford, so I'm sure they're already on the
we'll give them the nod, because it's always good to make sure people are aware of what's going on. So we'll always give them the nod, give them the heads up.
Yeah, so I'm sure they already know. They're quite hot, aren't they, on what's going on in their area? Yeah,
Yes,
but I just thought that was
are,
super interesting. You start to look at all these big events in a different way once you start to look at property and how it affects everything that's going on in that area. So if you have any questions for us today, then please pop them in the chat. We will answer them live on the show. It'd be amazing for you to just pop your questions in there. Any problems that you're having, any fears, doubts, things that are stopping you from moving ahead, would love to hear from you. So please put them in the chat, or you can contact us through WhatsApp if you're in our WhatsApp group. We've been really having trouble with WhatsApp recently, haven't we?
Oh, it's scammers.
Oh my goodness, or spammers.
Scammers, whatever you like to call them.
So I have put that there's another little step to let people in that now. So I do apologise if you're in the WhatsApp group and you're sick of hearing from, I don't know, what are they even, crypto,
yeah, all that sort of thing.
So I put another step that people have to do to get in it. So they can't just go into the community group. They have to do something extra. So hopefully that will stop them from.
So in other news, this is quite interesting, which is fairly new, hot off the press news. The Shadow Housing Minister has met with some of the UK's largest landlords and letting agencies, attempting to put together a challenge to the Renters' Rights Bill. And they want to take it to court under the Human Rights Bill and either get it delayed, significantly delayed, or scrapped completely. So we need to put some power behind that, don't we? Give that some oomph. It doesn't scare us. There's always going to be changes, but some of them are just too stacked in the tenant's favour. So yeah, watch this space and let's see what the Baroness does. Can't remember her name, but she's a Baroness.
Wonder what the NRLA.
I should think they're in bed with them. I'd have thought.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. To see what the response is on the NRLA news of Ben Beadle, because he's heavily
involved. He's like a dog with a bone. He is to try and get this overturned.
Our corner, yeah. So that is, yeah. So all change. Everything's all change. I never thought that the Renters' Rights Bill would just go through without a lot of
no chance.
Fighting, because I mean, property investors, we're normal people. We are also tenants, so it's we personally sit on both sides of the fence. So,
and just another little bit of useless news, really. But I don't know if whether it's the same in all your areas, but where we are, there's a significant amount of new builds going up, but there appears to be more and more bungalows being built. So being a real saddo, I'd have a look at the ratio between houses and bungalows. Well, obviously had nothing better to do. But there's approximately 29.9 million residential properties in the UK. And 2 million of those are bungalows, approximately. Obviously, they're not exact figures, which we've got bungalows in our portfolio, and they are probably our steadiest rentals, aren't they? So there's, don't be afraid of bungalows. And actually, our strategy when we bought those bungalows, because they're in a seaside town, was we're going to get people moving out of London and going to sell their 3-bed terrace for $750,000 and come and rent our property and live off the equity from their houses and stay out their days by the sea. But actually, we got both of our bungalows, which were our first 2 investment properties, both got young families in. One of which is still there 7 years on.
It makes so much sense though for a young family, doesn't it? No stairs to worry about. Kids can run around. They've got more floor space, that's for sure. Because we're on one level. But
yeah, so don't be afraid of bungalows, and if you get a plot of land, build one.
Doesn't that say something for our demographics?
Well, you've got an aging community, obviously, it'll be an aging
so the
population. So the demand for bungalows or living on one level is going to grow, isn't it?
Definitely. definitely. And people, well, yeah, because you go in a flat, you buy a flat, so it's just a bungalow with more land. You're on your own rather than having to share. I suppose, as in flats.
I love some of your logic.
It's just
Love some of
my,
your logic.
that was just my thought process there.
Mm.
So something else that's new. So we do the show once a week, and we're actually going to do launching a networking event, an online networking event. So we do the monthly in-person networking event, which is always the last Wednesday of the month. That's here in Colchester.
We don't like rest.
But to give people more of an opportunity to network and yeah, to enable you to meet more people and not even have to leave the comfort of your own home, we're actually going to put on a monthly virtual networking event. So that will be starting on Wednesday, the 14th of May. I will put the link out there. I'm still fiddling around with creating all the lovely online presence and bit, the landing page and URLs and stuff. So I will be shoving that out there once that's all ready. But if you can put that in your diaries, so 1 p.m, it'll be every second Wednesday of the month. I'm going to attempt to create it with some games. We'll have some element of fun in there, just so you're not having to do those elevator pitches. I know this is what we teach people to do, like the 60-second, how to tell people what you do without telling people what you do. But yeah, we'll put some games in there. We'll actually do some icebreakers that don't involve you having to do a 60-second elevator pitch. So it will be a really nice networking event.
So is the intention to have breakout rooms as well, so that you can actually really get to know people and build relationships, and then obviously arrange the second meeting where the magic happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all we ask of you is put it in your diary. So 1 p.m, the second Wednesday of the month. That's going to be starting next month, so the 14th of May. Yeah, and just if you would tell your friends, that would be amazing, because we're all in lots and lots of WhatsApp groups. We mingle with lots of people, and we would just love it if you could join us. And that will be a regular event. That would be amazing. And we've had some new people join. We've got Tim, Anne-Marie has joined as well. Lovely.
Mark's reappeared.
To have you with us. Lovely to see you. Now Caroline.
Facebook followers as well. All those on Facebook that are watching us, welcome.
Caroline has asked a question. Well, Caroline was with us last week, but she had to shoot off.
Yes.
Because you were at a show. Caroline was at a show.
Yeah,
There was
Ideal Homes. Something you can't remember, yeah?
This doesn't stick in my head. But she asked a question about assisted sales, and we had the same question actually, which came up this week in a group session that we held. So yeah, about assisted sales. Assisted sales are an amazing strategy. I'm going to hand this baton over to Neil to describe an assisted sale, give the plus points, and also, if there's a plus, there's always a negative to go with it as well. So I'm going to hand that over to you.
Well, yeah, firstly, there's always the hot strategy of the moment. And as soon as someone mentions it, someone in the big world of property and property education mentions it, all of a sudden it filters out to everyone. And we get inundated with inquiries about, can you teach us assisted sales? Now, fantastic strategy, lots of pitfalls if you don't do it right. There are cases out there, there's cases going through court currently where the developer as such, or the investor, or the person that's sort of instigated the assisted sale, has spent 50,000–60,000 pounds on the house or property, adding the value, and then the vendors sold it from under their nose and given them nothing. So they're actually that money down and they don't get anything, because there's no charge over the property most of the time. This is where, this is something we're exploring right now. We've got solicitors drawing up contracts which are going to be watertight. Now, we're in so far to the tune of somewhere between 5 and 10 grand for this contract, but it's going to be watertight, and they won't be able to sell the property from under your nose. You get paid out by the solicitor upon completion. But that's just being fine-tuned, because depending on if you're a business or an individual, depends on how it sits with the CCA and FCA. So we're making sure we get it absolutely watertight and everyone's protected, both the vendor and us and ourselves as the investor. So I'd look for the opportunities, but there are lots of pitfalls. Another one, for instance, because we viewed a property that's got charges against it. Now, you need to know the extent of those charges to see if there's any money left for you at the end of it. So, because they're going to get paid out first. So there's lots of due diligence to do, lots of research to do. But the way to secure them really is you've got to build relationships. It's about getting out there and building that rapport with both the agent, and if you can, you need to get to the vendor, because they need confidence in you. They need that reassurance that you're true to your word and you're going to add the value, and they don't think that you're somehow going to steal it from them. So you've really got to build relationship, build that like, know, and trust model to get those across the line. So they are brandished about at the moment as I'm going to call it the shiny penny strategy. But there's a lot of work goes into each one, and you have to, if you can build relationships, really good relationships and trust with agents that will sell you to these people. Because if they're sitting on the market for a long, long time, the agent's earning nothing. So if you can build that trust with the agent and that relationship where they help you secure these deals, perfect. Because the vendor's more likely to put their trust in the agent first off than they are with you. So you need them as middlemen, definitely.
So the plus points of assisted sales are you don't have to go through the pain of actually purchasing the property. So you don't have to have stamp duty costs. You don't have those solicitors' fees for the purchase of the property. So they're really the plus points. You do need to be able to fund the refurb or the development. And as Neil was saying about relationships as well, there is such a high element of trust in these deals, because you need to have that person needs to have the trust in you that, one, you're going to say what you do. There's going to be solicitors out there which are probably going to warn the vendor off against doing a deal like this, because the control element will be relinquished for an amount of time, because we will take control of the property.
I'll just caveat that the solicitors really shouldn't be involved until it goes sold subject to contract, unless the vendor has got that absolute lack of trust and they want a solicitor's opinion.
Yeah, so it would be a case of your own solicitor would deal with the contract for the process to go ahead. But then there's that, it's the like, know, and trust, isn't it? If you don't know somebody that well, are you going to trust that person's solicitor? So the assisted sales going to work really well where you've got negative equity, you've got like a family dispute over a property, over probate property. So the vendor's in some form of distress and they want best price. We can offer them best price, but obviously there's a caveat to that. It's like, we can offer you what you want for it, but this is the terms and the conditions of doing it, or you buy it at the price that we're giving you and you just have to take the hit on it. But if you've got negative equity, then that's not going to help the person. And definitely if there's a number of family members that are wanting a piece of the pie, then that's going to cause problems as well. So
the main reason you can offer, I mean, if you work back as we do, we start with end in mind and work back to what we call a money in, money out offer, which we get a lot of no's initially, but they do come good, believe me. But if you haven't got your buying costs, your stamp duty costs, your 3 months conveyancing, and the cost of money is quite significant, especially if you're going to go through the refurb stage, which can take up to 3 months, and then you have to put it back on the market. If you're really lucky, that's 3 months. So you're looking 9 months cost of money, which you can save on all that, which means you can up your offer to the vendor by that amount. And then you just take the profit once you sell it at the end. So it's a great strategy, but yeah, seek some really good advice.
Yeah, it's not a strategy. I'd call it an advanced strategy, because you do have to have the right power team. Definitely the right power team. You need to have a really good build team as well, because a trusted build team. Because if a build team is unable to finish the job, you're committed. You're committed to finishing that, the project. Because that's your side of the bargain, is that you're bringing in all the power and the money to get that additional value onto that property. So it is a joint venture, and that's your promise to the vendor, is that's what you're going to do. So yeah, a trusted build team. Obviously there's money that you're going to need to spend on materials, on labor, or however you decide to do it. So definitely not one for a beginner, I'd say.
Yeah. And how do these deals come about? Well, mainly it's the properties that have been sitting on the market a long time, which are generally overpriced. There's two reasons could be overpriced. It's either the agent has promised them the world just to get the business, and then they start to try and reduce it once they've got them, and there's no interest in the property because it's overpriced. They start to try and reduce it, and the vendor sort of says, no, this is what you promised me, we need to sell it at that. Or the vendors come along and says, my house is worth this much, do you want my business? And they just say yes. So it can be dictated by one of two things, really. The overpricing is either the vendors insisting their house is worth more than my next door neighbours because look at it, it's better than theirs, or the agent has over-egged it to get their business, banking on the fact they can reduce it during the duration of the contract with them. So there's definitely opportunities about.
100%. And for estate agent, I'll say that again. And for the estate agent, this is another income stream for them. But the tricky thing with the estate agent is that they only know what they know. They're not property investors, so they struggle with understanding new concepts, and new concepts are scary as well. If they haven't got an open mindset, if all they're used to doing is just selling houses, not how to sell houses creatively, then they will be scared and they'll just shut down when somebody offers a different method to sell a property. So that's going to be quite a hurdle as well. It's educating an estate agent, but that doesn't mean to say there's not creative estate agents who can really see the benefit in this, and that's our job to find them.
But it's all communication and selling the benefits. In assisted sale, everybody's a winner because the vendor's going to get near enough what they want for it. Us as the developer, investor, whatever you like to call it, we're going to get a chunk of profit out of it, and the agent is going to sell it at the done up value, not the existing value, so they're going to get bigger commissions. So everybody is a winner in an assisted sale, provided you get it right, and that's the crucial thing, to make sure the contract is watertight for everybody.
Just thinking about timeline as well, it's going to be assisted sales are just so much quicker because you've only got the sale
for the investor,
and for the vendor as well, because the main reason why someone would accept an assisted sale to sell their house would be because the sale has already fallen through like 2, 3, maybe 4 times. So every time a sale falls through, that adds another, say, like 2 or 3 months onto the sales process. And if that happens 4 times, they've pretty much wasted a year before the house actually gets sold. And every time they're going through that roller coaster of emotion as well, where they think they've sold it, things look like they start to happen, and then it falls out of bed, and then it has to go on to the market again. You're waiting a few weeks till you get any nibbles, until somebody offers, you accept the offer, then that process happens again where it falls out of bed. And so it's a roller coaster as well for the vendor. So for assisted sale, it's obviously the process is going to be quick. By the time a sale's fallen out of bed 4 times, you could actually have given it the uplift and it be sold. But it's getting people to understand that we can speed the process up. But us human beings, we don't seem to react until the pain is really bad, and because we always think that the grass is greener and that we're always looking on the positive side, that things are going to happen and that things will be much better. So yeah, so it's educating people, it is building relationships, and it's knowing exactly what you can offer as well, because you don't want to get people's hopes up that, you know, you're talking about you can offer them something and then you get frightened as well, and then you retract your offer, and that's not what we want to do. We want to see things all the way through.
Confident. You don't even get to that point unless you're 100% confident.
Yeah, that's why
the outcome.
That's why it's important that it's an advanced strategy.
Always do all your due diligence and research prior to offering, otherwise you'll just look foolish.
Yeah, and there's, you know, if you've got the estate agent involved and they've put their trust in you as well, so there's lots of bridges to be burnt if it doesn't go well. But that's not always to say, you know, you can be as certain as possible that it's going to go well and do your best, but there's always something that's going to crop up that you haven't thought about, because that's just how property is. I can't remember what I was going to say then. I was going to say something else on that note.
Were you?
Oh yes, I know what I was going to say. So we had a great discussion actually on our Tuesday night calls that we have with our group, and it's the being scared. Actually, it's fear of offending people.
Fear of offering.
Yeah, of putting our very considered offers on the table to estate agents, and the fear that it causes of offending the estate agent and ruining those relationships. It's a very interesting topic, and I'd really just like to discuss that with you guys. So if you have got any comments about that, because I know it's something that, oh my goodness, used to put the fear, absolutely the wind.
Put the willies up.
That's it. That's the phrase. The shake, the breathing, hyperventilating before picking up the phone. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. And it's so silly because you just, you know, you've got to think of yourself. You've got to think of yourself in that moment of time.
So how do you combat that initial fear? And I'll tell you exactly how we combated it. And we were absolutely shaking like a leaf. But we bought into property education back in 2018. And with that, we got on-patch mentorship. So our mentor would come to our investment area and, you know, basically view properties with us, meet the agents with us, and put in offers there and then same day. So we'd viewed, I think, 3 or 4 properties. We then sat in a cafe, run the numbers on them with their input, and then we weren't allowed to do anything else until we'd rung the agent and offered at our money in, money out offer. I mean, we were totally inexperienced, nervous wrecks. Excuse me, the Rottweilers got loose. And but having someone with you and making you accountable to do it there and then, that becomes the norm then. That's the way you do it every single time, and you're not afraid. We do request all our offers are put forward by email to the vendors and we're copied in, so we can see they've actually gone to the vendor. Legally, they're supposed to do that, but I'm pretty sure some don't, because they think it's a waste of time because it's too low. And so it's just embrace the fear and put through it, because the worst you can get is a no. And that's ultimately, that's the worst thing that can happen. And no, apart from we've had one agent that won't show us any properties anymore. But you're not going to build relationships with every agent. And this agent said you'll never get offers accepted at those levels. And we said, well, actually, we bought 13 properties in this area doing exactly the same. So who's missing out? So it's, you know, but you're not going to get on with everyone. You've got to find those that really work with you, build that trust, and they will sell you to the vendor. Believe me, they will fight your corner for you with your offer. The
other thing is for you to have a change in the way that you're thinking as well, because these houses that we're putting these lower offers in, they're not the nice properties. They're properties that are hanging around. There's properties that we can see the opportunity in when no one else can. So we're not fighting like with the first time buyers. These properties
generally unmortgageable.
Yeah, a far worse than a first time buyer wants to go into and sort of live in it and do it up around them. They're properties that have got problems that need solving. And that's why we get them at a good rate, because we can see how to solve the problem that nobody, you know, like the normal person can. Or the property itself, as Neil just said, is not mortgageable. So it is like a cash buyer, somebody in our position, they can actually purchase that property. So we're actually giving the vendor the opportunity to get rid of the property, and also the estate agent to get it off their books. No estate agent wants to have the property hanging around. They've put money into advertising and they want to see that return on that money. They've got people going out and viewing. They may have had like 30 views on the property and no offers. And yeah, so you need to look at it as like you're giving them the opportunity to
solving the problem.
You are solving the problem. So by being frightened to put that offer in, you're removing, you know, that you are removing the pain. Yeah. And the market, you know, we know it's constantly changing. We know there's always properties out there that can't be sold. And we want to be part of the estate agents team to actually get those properties off their books. Actually, Neil, you viewed a property not so long ago where the agent, it's come to them through, I think, somebody that they know, and they don't even want it on their books. They don't want it to be advertised on their site because it's not the sort of property, it's not that they just don't want to be known for selling grotty properties. Basically, they want the high-end properties on their books. So they've actually
can't work that out.
They just don't want it. They just
can't work that out.
And that's
there's money in it.
But we have a few agents actually, you know, I know that we shout about, oh, if it smells of weed, think of me. But people do think of us. They do get in contact with us where they've been given a property because it's come through their network. They don't want to say no because they know there's some money in it for them, but they just don't want it on their books. And that's when they come and they speak to us and ask us if it's something that we potentially will buy.
Yeah, we've done a few like that and just given them a finder's fee.
Yeah, so if you don't put in these offers and if you don't tell the agent that that's your business model, then, you know, they will lose out on business as well. And we will definitely lose out. So the fear is only short-lived as well. Do it once, twice, 3 times. After that, you will be, you know, you'll know what the outcome is.
100% sure nearly everyone on this webinar knows how to drive. Just remember the fear when you first got in a car and thought you'd never master it, and now it's second nature. So you just got to push through it. You just got to embrace it and go for it. If you want something enough, that is, because you wanted to drive enough to push through those nerves and that fear to get behind the steering wheel. But it's the same in any, you've only got to push through it and it becomes so natural and normal a little bit further down the line.
And it gives you, it's like anything. If you've never done anything before, then everything is always frightening the first time you do it. You're not actually going to offend anyone. They might be a little bit taken back, but this is our business that we're running. So why would we want to put our business into jeopardy by offering an amount for a property that it just isn't worth it? You know, why would we, just to please somebody else, add another 15,000, 20,000 onto a price? Why would we do that? You might as well just remove 15 or 20 grand from your bank and give it to them and just say, please, would you like me? That's
There'd
what
be
we're
a lot
doing.
less pain doing that and getting into a deal that doesn't work. I can tell you.
It's basically what we're doing. We're only offering that, or telling them the amount of money that we think they're going to like. That's what we're doing for them to like us, and that's not the name of the game. This is an investment process. We want to buy properties that suit our business model, that we know that we can, you know, add value. And if we are offering too much, then that just causes real problem the whole way down the line.
But that process of negotiation to putting in offers where it works for our business, some class them as cheeky offers. I don't think they're cheeky offers. They are below market value offers, but it's where it works for our business. But that process starts from the first moment you make the inquiry to view the property, because you inform them what you do, what you want to do with it, And then when you get there on the viewing, you keep dropping into conversation that, oh, this is going to take a bit of money to put turn around and etc. etc. I'm not sure I'm going to get close to the asking price and stuff like that. So you're starting to condition them to be prepared for a low offer. So it's all in the whole process, getting to the point of offer, that you actually sort of are planting that seed that they're not going to get what they want. They're going to get where it works for us if they want our money.
Yeah, and it's a considered calculation. It's not a flippant throw in the air price. There's a reason behind the value that we've put on that property, because we are considering all the costs that go into actually purchasing, to refurbing.
I think
where the amateur investor just doesn't do that. They see the price of the property, maybe they think, oh, see if I can get 5,000 or 10,000 off the price, but they're not thinking about the stamp duty, the buying fees, and everything else that goes. The proper investing is buying it with all those considerations taken off that final figure.
Yeah, you make your money when you buy it.
Yeah,
that's
100%,
the point.
100%.
Yeah, but I forgot what I was going to say because you didn't stop.
Well, I was actually just going to lead nicely into viewing properties as well, because there's a lot of software, lots of different software out there that have really come into sort of the forefront over the last couple of years to help you find properties, to find those ones that are lingering, those ones that may be on a rental and for sale. So there's some indecision from the vendor what they want to do with it. But there's nothing like actually go on a physical viewing, because it serves so many purposes. It's not just going to look at a house, but we're looking at the area, we're driving the streets, we're making relationships, we're getting a feel for the whole town, what it can offer, things that are going on, like if there is new housing developments, there's new business parks popping up or drive-throughs. I mean, where your brother lives, there's drive-throughs keep popping up all the time. So, they're expecting, a lot of custom. If Starbucks and McDonald's and everybody are putting their money into an area, then this is what gives us the confidence as well to invest in areas, because we can see these big brand names are coming in. So you just follow the big boys, basically.
Yeah, there's just going back to the offering, there's too much focus on the monetary side of it, how much you're offering and how much below market value is. What you're not really focusing on, or we don't know until we sort of start delving and asking the right questions, is the vendor's situation. We could be really the knights in shining armor solving their pain, taking that pain away by buying it off them. So there's too much focus on the figure we're offering rather than are we solving someone's problem. And we generally don't know the full extent of what's going on in anybody's life. So you've got to put their offer in and stick to guns, really. And some people bite your hand off because you've solved their problem.
Yeah, because it might be, especially now as well, double council tax.
Yep.
That's not cheap. Got a property sitting there, and especially, with sales falling through. Was it you spoke to an agent the other day?
Yeah.
And they review their sort of business plan, don't they, quarterly?
Yeah. So this is the biggest agent in our investment area. They're independent and they sell twice as many properties than all the other agents in the area put together. So they're big and they're successful. Now they do a revised business plan every quarter. So the first quarter of this year, their business plan was based on 40% of property sales falling through, and probably more than once. And they rang me with a property that they've got no interest in, and it's pretty stinky, so they thought of me. And they said, we've just done our Q2 business plan, and now because of what's going on in the world, we're basing our business plan on 45% of property sold subject to contract falling through, which they will still eventually. The vendor's got to come to the party, be in the real world, and realise they're going to have to reduce their price to get it sold. But ultimately, it impacts so much the agent's cash flow because they're not got that constant feed of commissions coming in. So, you know, they're fine tuning their staff as a result because they don't think they're going to have the same cash flow. So it really is, you've got to watch this space the whole time and see what's going on, not just in the property market, but what's going on in the world, which will affect the property market, because it more often than not, it doesn't have an instant impact. So you've really got to try and future-proof what you're doing.
Yeah, so that's why it's great to keep up to date, like actually be friends with your estate agent, your letting agents, because you'll get an idea of how they're viewing the property market as well, from their side of things, because they're in touch obviously with vendors and they are seeing the real sort of sales falling out of bed. So they'll be able to, 100%, they'll be able to give you the real detail. So they're a big part of your power team as anyone. Go on. Sorry, Steve.
I was going to say, by the way, are you taking questions or is it?
Yes, I was just about to go on to questions. So yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Go for it.
45% falling through. Have you any idea what the main reason is?
One of the main reasons is, which I think is going to change, is there's talk about it changing already, and some lenders have already put this into practice, is people are offered mortgages in principle based on the multiplier of their incomes, which means, yes, on paper, we can lend you enough money to go and buy this house. Then they get an offer accepted, it gets into conveyancing, and then the valuer goes out, values it, and then they go and they do an affordability test. And basically, they've got too many outgoings to be lent the money. So they fail the affordability test. So it's not enough to shout that you've got a mortgage offer in principle because you haven't been through the affordability test. But there's, I think it's HSBC have already decided that they're going to base their mortgage offers based on the affordability rather than the calculation of their income. So that should stop a lot of this happening if every lender goes that way.
Because if at a very high level, if you didn't know anything about this business, you would expect house prices to fall if 45% of I'll call it deals are falling through, right?
Absolutely. And actually, March house prices were absolutely stagnant. They didn't move either way, except in London, which went up 1.9%. But so I think that's an indication of
stagnation, at least.
Stagnation, which should push the property prices down a little bit, which is obviously good for us. Or if they don't get pushed down, they'll accept offers below market value, because some people are so stubborn, they want it advertised at what they want to advertise, at what they believe it's worth. So they're going to have to come to the party, really. If they want to move it on, they're going to have to, reduce the price, accept the offers, really. And I mean, I don't know what the other factors are, to be honest, but most of them are caused by a affordability test. Once they get to the actual mortgage offer, they decide that they've got big, expensive car on finance, phone contracts for them, the wife, the children, and all sorts. Sofas.
I think the other thing as well is that this conveyancing can take an awful long time, right? I don't fully understand why it takes all this time. However, because it takes such a long time, then a shitload of things can change in personal circumstance in that time frame, right?
Yeah. So people splitting up, vendors getting impatient. That's one reason we experience that, where there's no fault of our own. But the vendor got impatient and said, I'm putting it back on the market, and there's nothing you can do about it. So there's lots of ingredients. Who knows? The biggest one is definitely affordability when it gets to the actual mortgage offer. But there's lots of reasons why. Good question, though.
That was a really good question. That just made me think about actually your end product. If you're doing a flip, is to really know who your market is.
Target audience.
Who are you targeting with this property? Is it first time buyers? Is it families upsizing or families downsizing? Who is it? So you can really know who your end user is going to be.
Just as a word of warning, which is something I did because I run some numbers on Tuesday, quite a few numbers on viewings we'd done, and I've gone really conservative on the done up value because the world's in a little bit of turmoil. So you look at your comparables right now, I think by the time you've been through the process, even if assisted sale, you're looking six months probably by the time you've done and added the value, and then you've got it on the market and sold. So I think there's going to be a dip. So I'm taking at least, well, I've taken 10% off what I think the GDV by comparables is. I've taken 10% off that just to allow for any fluctuation in the market in 6, 9, 12 months time. Because I think it's already, the figures came out about March being completely stagnant. So which way is it going to go? Nobody really knows, do they? But yeah.
When you do this, do you have a plan B? And the plan B being that you're going to take it yourself, or?
Plan B would be that we'd, if it was a purchase, this isn't the same, obviously, if it's an assisted sale, you just end up with less profit. But if it's a purchase, what we ask, our second exit strategy would be to refinance it and rent it out, to get nearly all of our money out and rent it out and hang on to it until the market changes. But we don't do many flips, to be fair. Most of our first exit strategy is to refinance and rent.
Yeah, our flips are very considered.
Yeah.
And we will price them to sell as well. We're not trying to get top whack for them. We've got an amount of profit we want to get out of them. So that's how we'll price it. So there's enough for negotiation. But we know what profit we want. So they won't be like super high. It'll be priced to get it gone as quick as possible. And
we probably spend about £3,000 more on a flip from the refurb point of view than we do a rental. So we'd put a much nicer kitchen sink in, nicer taps, we've built built-in appliances. So we're not adding value, but we're adding appeal. So it sells. It's the one best on the street, if you like. They can move straight in. And most of ours have been terraced houses that we've flipped. So they're generally first-time buyers. So if they've got a built-in fridge, freezer, built-in washing machine, tumble dryer, cooker, oven and hob, I mean, they can move in. And for a first-time buyer, that's phenomenal, isn't it? That they haven't got to go out and buy all these white goods, etc. So we do spend a few thousand more. Obviously, it eats into the bit of a profit, but if you weigh up how long that could sit on the market, if it wasn't the best house on the street, and the cost of money for that extra 1, 2, 3 months is going to be more than £3,000. So that's our reasoning for spending a little bit more and a little bit higher spec on a flip than we do on a rental.
Yeah, so look at the competition as well, isn't it? See what else is out there and how can you make it that little bit better, that be the one that stands out compared with all the others.
I mean, all our property refurbs, we have the wow factor in the kitchen, the bathroom anyway. But with a flip, we just put integral goods in it, just to, they're targeted generally at first-time buyers. So for them not to have to fork out for that is just, that wins us the sale over the one next door that's got nothing in it.
Great question, Steve. Thank you very much. Can you believe it? We've come to the
hour
gone.
Gone.
Another hour gone. Thank you so much for joining us. And
always a pleasure, yeah.
Remember the 14th of May, 1 p.m.
We'll see you before then, though.
So there'll be fun and games, there'll be breakout rooms, there'll be some great people who will come and join us, and you can network with them, get to know them. You might find new members of your power team, a JV partner. You might find money, who knows, all that grubby property that you're really urged to buy. So yeah, it'll be fantastic. So that's the 14th Wednesday. That's going to be the second Wednesday of every month at 1 p.m. So remember to pop that in your diary.
But we must have 3 or 4 Thursdays before then. So we'll see you all again.
Yeah, and thank you again so much for spending this time with us.
Really appreciate it.
We really love doing these sessions. We love to help you. So just a big thank you for spending your time with us, and we'll see you same place, same time next week, 12:30 here on the Moneytree Mastery Property Show.
Excellent.
Thanks so much.
Enjoy the sun and have a great weekend.
Big kisses to you. Cheerio.
Bye bye.